Secondly, to communicate well, you've got to be able to speak the language in jazz and also in the church. So speaking the language is essential for community in jazz. That's part of the reason why these guys can just show up, never met me before, and we can do our thing. Because all three of us speak the language. I can't really come up here and play some country licks. Now I could, but these guys would be looking at me pretty funny. Like, what the heck are you doing, right? Speaking a different language, right? It wouldn't be true to the form, true to the genre. So to communicate well in jazz and in the church, you got to be able to do three things. Specifically with jazz, the first thing you got to do is you got to know the history. Do I know my predecessors musically speaking? Do I know Louis Armstrong? Do I know Miles Davis? Do I know John Coltrane and Bill Evans? And have I submerged myself in what they said musically, the founders of this jazz language? So should not the same be the truth be the same with our churches? We stand on the shoulders of those that have gone before us. That's why we take church history classes as seminary students, right? We don't simply just chuck our ancient creeds because they're old, right? We stand on the shoulders of those that have gone before us. We embrace our history, right? So we got to understand our history. Secondly, we got to have the technical facility. So to communicate well in jazz, I've got to be able to play the jazz language, and that's not a simple thing. That may take years and years of study and practice. It's no small task. Should we not also have years of focused study in God's Word to be able to communicate well what He has said, right? And thirdly, we got to know the tunes. So I just called it Autumn Leaves. These guys know that tune. Any jazz musician that's worth his salt knows that tune, right? And the way you learn tunes in jazz is by drawing on, typically, by a lot of the older guys use just their ear. You just go to a club and you figure it out, or you grab a recording and you figure it out. You have someone show you what's going on. In the last 20 years or so, the real book, is that about 20 years or so? 20, 25 years, there's this thing emerged called a real book. And some students at Berkeley or something compiled probably the top 500 best jazz songs, or the most popular. And they compiled it in an illegal book. You had to go to the back room of the music store and be like, I need a real book. And they've got only cash. And so that's what we all had to do. Did you guys have to do that? Yeah. So, everybody had to do that. It was legal. So, but music stores, there's a demand. So, 500 of the best, most loved jazz songs. And that's how guys learn the tunes. And many advancements, like my teacher in Albuquerque, he's probably got at least 300, 400 of those just memorized. He just knows them. He's owned those tunes by heart. And because he's owned them, he would say, you can't really be free to improvise until that's really been internalized. Like, I know these forms, like I showed you before. The form of that song, he's just got it, plus 300 more. I probably got 50 or so. So I got to know these tunes in order to have meaningful jazz communication. So the question for the church then is, for the church, the tie is, do we know God's tune? Can we sing His melodies? Can we play His songs? And as Christians, should we not be a people that speak the language of the Bible, right? The grand message of the Bible, the gospel of Jesus Christ, should that not define how we speak to one another? Creation, fall, redemption, consummation. An reformed Christian worldview, should it not set the tone for how, why, and with whom we communicate? Speaking the language that edifies the whole, that's a big deal for jazz. For me to contribute anything here, I got to speak that language. And should that not be the same for our church?